we often hear about the app ecosystems and how some companies are able to do so much with it, in the sense rather prosper, sell, like Instagram being sold for $1 billion, an email app like Sparrow being sold for $25 million. You know, if you're looking at people who are starting off and creating an app business for themselves, you know, within the country and from an India perspective, how do you go about it? In the sense that, is there enough reception or, you know, from funding for people who are interested in funding these apps and helping these apps ecosystems grow? Free apps, paid apps, what's the math that's going to help people who are setting off in the app mobility business?
Yeah, so it all starts with a premise. What is the aim for that application? What is it sufficing a need? So, you know, there are different categories in which, you know, people like to fill in their applications. There is an application which is, you know, addressing a need of communication. There is an application which is addressing a need of some other genre. But the premise over here is that they need to first understand what the user wants. Based on that, the whole strategy can be worked backwards.
Okay, work backwards.
And the other thing is, you know, monetization comes at the stage when you have a huge user base in which you can actually, if you implement an X, you know, kind of monetization mode, then you can actually reap the benefits out of those users in the masses.
Is monetization the last thing you would think of as well, Shubhadeep?
No, I think monetization needs to be thought through, because you need to have thought through the life cycle of the whole thing. What we typically don't do is we overcorrect. So either you will completely say, I want to be viable from day one, which often is, you know, unlikely, or you will not think of it at all and say, okay, let's just loss leader, and typically brands will fall into that trap because the urgency is not there. So you'll say, okay, let's build this and we'll try it out and we'll learn it on the way. You have to figure it out, you know, completely in terms of being clear about what is the human need you're solving, you know, and are we testing it, you know, early enough, and then what are the 3 or 4 phases of it, or what are the avatars that I want to, you know, make out of that, which will, you know, come out. That absolutely has to be thought.
When you said avatar, you had Go Geo 2 years back, which I thought was Second Life, which is, like I said, it's avant-garde, way ahead of its times. How is Godrej looking at the app strategy? What are you thinking?
One of the things, in fact, if you visit it today, you will see an initiative we're doing with one of our own divisions, Interior.
Which is Interior, yeah.
And so we've mocked up our own furniture portfolio, and so you can go there, arrange your room, select, and, you know, get familiar. Now, there are not many avenues today to have a 3-dimensional engagement with spaces and products. And now we're looking at which other product, at not only our own, but even outside the Godrej Group, we can look at and leverage that platform for. So from a consumer engagement platform, it may shift to something else. So we're experimenting with it. I think the thing in the digital world is to keep that experimental streak alive, because things will keep evolving and you never know what you will.
And I think Mahindra did some similar experimentation a while back, because they were looking at design your own Jeep, which means that you could practically look at what your Jeep is going to look like before it went into the production lines. I think this was again 2008-9, way before, you know, you
Nissan just did for Leaf, they just did one, right? So they design your car, which is probably, you know, every boy's, you know, kind of dream. But most of us don't get to do that, but you are contributing, they were essentially crowdsourcing. And the tongue-in-cheek response actually to your question, interestingly, is social. You know, go social and ask and find out, you know, what's probably, you know, most likely to get picked up. And you will, not only will you find ideas, you'll probably find people who will help you, you know, build it, and you can co-create a whole lot. And that naturally is more likely to succeed. You know, straight math, you know, it's more likely to succeed.
A few closing notes. How do you see the app wars playing about, in the sense that, you know, you have 3 operating systems. There's one in the fringe, which is on the fence. Apart from that, you have a lot more smaller players, which still really haven't taken off. Where are you putting your money on?
See, we see...
And more importantly, from purview of the subcontinent.
Okay, so we see that right now Android is standing out by all the means. You know, it's a free OS. It has all the potential catering to all the other operating systems in the market. You know, almost all the handset manufacturers are right now supporting it. So Android is the way to go. However, the other platforms are, you know, I'm not saying that these are not competent. However, they need to define a better strategy in terms of reaching out to the users. You know, the whole ecosystem need to be forwarded.
All right.
So Android is definitely way ahead in large parts of the globe, in large masses. But I will not write off the Asha series from Nokia.
Okay.
It has its strategic advantages as far as the subcontinent and similar parts of the globe are concerned, especially Africa, LATAM, Southeast Asia, and parts of Middle East. wherein there is a strategic advantage in pricing and features, almost comparable to any other Android device in terms of especially the Asha 5.0 series and the other newer versions of Asha has come up. I think they have tremendous potential with the price ranges in that sense, and maybe Mr.
Also curious to see how Microsoft
Mr. Balmer might do something with
about
it,
that,
so
yeah.
let's see how it goes.
They have addressed to the user's needs in the Asha series. You know, if user wanted this, you know, they provided that, especially in the upcoming series.
Yeah. Shireesh?
I think this is a field where you should be ready for a surprise each time. So every few years there'll be a surprise. I don't know what the surprise is going to be, but 3 years from now we probably have one.
So you're hoping Fairfax will turn around BlackBerry?
I have no idea.
No, I think it's clearly see what has happened is also interesting because there's an economic element to it. Android is far more accessible simply because
Cost.
any small cheap quote unquote handset can potentially run on it, and iOS by its early tie-in and exclusivity obviously got locked in a little bit. So I think that's an interesting angle. Now let's see what happens. I totally agree with your point on Asha because I think there is an opportunity there. Now what will happen with the Nokia Microsoft situation we don't know, but they are also the only players who have invested heavily in focusing on language and scripts. There are actual scripts which Nokia has gotten done for most regional languages ranging from Chinese all the way some 15 Indian languages and so on and so forth. Now whether they're able to use it or whether it will be a classic Greek tragedy we will see how, what time shows. But I think they have some things going for them.
Does that excite you, Shireesh?
I think language capability is sorely needed, especially a country like ours, because beyond a point, English and even Devanagari will only go so far. We are a diverse language country, and so it's a critical opportunity as well as a need.
Cool, wonderful. There are no dumb phones, there are only feature phones, and we have only started to scratch the surface of what mobile phones can do for our businesses. Fantastic panel discussion here in #2013. Thank you for joining me in this episode.